They say that good things come to those who wait. If that's true, these games are going to be spectacular. Multi-year development cycles are pretty common in the video game industry, but fans have been looking forward to the following titles for quite a while. Well, get ready to wait a little bit longer. While we've seen glimpses of these games here and there hinting at the final products, every single one of them is years away from a proper release. But don't worry, when these games do arrive, they're going to be great. It's just going to take a while. System Shock. There's a good chance that you haven't heard of 1994's System Shock. Looking Glass Technologies' first-person action-adventure is often touted as the first game to graft role-playing game mechanics onto a first-person shooter. It proved that action games could tell deep, detailed stories years before Half-Life and Metal Gear Solid did the same. It also didn't sell all that well, which is why System Shock isn't as famous as it should be. Still, it's a big deal, and the upcoming System Shock remake is due out sometime in 2020. In 2016, Night Dive Studios raised $1.3 million on Kickstarter to fund a complete remake of Looking Glass's original game. Along the way, things changed. The project's scope grew, and money started running out, forcing the Night Dive team to take a step back and reevaluate the project. All that retooling came at a cost, and System Shock will take a little bit longer to arrive than we all originally anticipated. That's a bummer, but if System Shock arrives at all, that'll still make it more successful than 2/3 of the crowdfunded games out there. The Elder Scrolls 6. When it comes to The Elder Scrolls 6, it's just a question of when, not if. Of course, Bethesda Game Studios is going to release a new installment in its flagship franchise. And while Bethesda usually uses its E3 showcase to highlight the projects that it's releasing in the near future, in 2018, executive producer Todd Howard broke with company tradition and revealed The Elder Scrolls 6 early. Really early. In follow-up interviews, Howard admitted that The Elder Scrolls 6 is still in pre-production. It's not even playable yet, much less nearing release-ready form. That hasn't stopped fans from scouring The Elder Scrolls 6's sparse teaser trailer for hints regarding the game's location, of course. Howard says that production won't truly begin on The Elder Scrolls 6 until Fallout 76 and Starfield are finished, and it's not like a game the size of The Elder Scrolls can be cranked out in a matter of months. Howard claims that he knows The Elder Scrolls 6's release date, but he's not telling. With the game still many years away, that's probably the right call. Beyond Good and Evil 2. Creator Michel Ancel never envisioned his 2003 action-adventure game Beyond Good and Evil as a one-and-done deal. It was supposed to be the first part of a trilogy, kicking off a brand-new franchise that Ubisoft could exploit for years and years to come. Then the disappointing sales happened. Beyond Good and Evil has gone on to become a minor cult classic, and fans have been clamoring for a follow-up for ages. Ubisoft promised one back in 2008, and then went silent. It took almost a decade to learn more, but as of E3 2018, we know the following. Beyond Good and Evil 2 is a prequel. It features an open world and custom-made characters, and it will allow players to explore numerous planets. And judging by the trailers, it's going to be certifiably bonkers. It also won't be out for a while. Ubisoft says that it's hoping to get a Beyond Good and Evil 2 beta ready for fans by the end of 2019. That means that the full game won't be ready for mass consumption until 2020 at the earliest. Final Fantasy VII. In 2015, Square Enix blew the minds of gamers everywhere when they announced that they were remaking Final Fantasy VII. Fast forward a few years and Final Fantasy VII is still nowhere to be seen. But it's also a big undertaking. Instead of a flat-out remake, Final Fantasy VII is being rebuilt from the ground up with a brand new battle system, a deeper storyline, and a much bigger world to explore. There have also been production problems, and the director, Tetsuya Nomura's been busy getting his other high-profile release, Kingdom Hearts 3, ready for public consumption. None of that has made the long wait any easier, and it doesn't look like relief is coming anytime soon. Nomura says that development is going faster than expected, especially since Square Enix decided to move Final Fantasy VII's development in-house. But the game also skipped E3 2018. If Square Enix had something to show, they probably would have, and we're not expecting to see Cloud return until at least 2020. And that's only if we're very lucky. Gridiron Champions. It's not often that a sports game truly blows you away. The big ones come out every year, and while they don't change that much. But Gridiron Champions is special, or at least it has the potential to be. Because unlike Madden NFL, Gridiron Champions focuses exclusively on college ball. There hasn't been a college football game on consoles since 2013, when Electronic Arts canceled NCAA football amid lawsuits from former college athletes. While Gridiron Champions won't feature real-life schools or players, developer Immaculate Visions Gaming says that it would like to get an official NCAA license at some point, although that would arrive after the game's initial release. Still, Gridiron Champions isn't due until 2020, so anything could change by then. Death Stranding. Every time Hideo Kojima shows off Death Stranding, we end up with more questions than answers. So it stars Norman Reedus, Mads Mikkelsen, Guillermo del Toro, and Lindsay Wagner? Cool, that's a great cast. That thing strapped to Reedus' chest is a baby, huh? But whose baby is it, and why is Reedus carrying it around? Death Stranding's E3 2018 trailer is more than 8 minutes long and even features some gameplay. But what are we actually going to do in the game? It's still a mystery. This is all intentional. By this point, Kojima has even started hiding secret codes in Death Stranding trailers, so he's obviously having a lot of fun teasing the game's fanbase. We are eager to play the game, but it sounds like it's a ways away. When pressed for a release date, Kojima simply says that it'll come out before the Tokyo Olympic Games, which hints at an early 2020 launch. Starfield. Bethesda revealed its next big single-player role-playing game, Starfield, at E3 2018. The company didn't share a whole lot of information, but journalists and fans have managed to uncover a few pieces of information. In short, Starfield sounds really good. Starfield is Bethesda Softworks' first new intellectual property in a quarter century. And while the outer space setting might be new, the game reportedly stays true to the publisher's role-playing foundation. Players will be able to explore an open world with the freedom to make choices as they see fit. In other words, if you've played the later Elder Scrolls and Fallout games, you're going to get more of the same.
You know, it being us, it's extremely ambitious.
Todd Howard hinted that Starfield may not launch until the next console generation, which would put it at 2020 at the earliest. That might feel like a long time, but it's been 25 years since Bethesda created a new franchise. You can wait just a little bit longer. Avatar. James Cameron's Avatar might have made bank at the box office, but it hasn't really had much of a lasting impact. That's not stopping Cameron from producing a whole mess of sequels, however, or video game publisher Ubisoft from getting to work on another Avatar tie-in. Ubisoft's new Avatar game will run on the company's Snowdrop engine, which currently powers The Division, and the game is being presented as a companion to the new films, not a direct adaptation. At the very least, Pandora's lush jungles seem like fertile ground for the kind of open-world adventure games that Ubisoft is known for. And while the company didn't quite nail their first attempt, there's no harm in trying again. Just don't expect to get your hands on Avatar anytime soon. Ubisoft says that the game won't launch before April 2020 and that the release date will probably be tied to one of the Avatar sequel's theatrical releases. Given that Avatar 2 currently has a December 18th, 2020 release date, it seems like a turn-of-the-decade arrival is optimistic at best. Star Citizen. This multiplayer space sim from Wing Commander creator Chris Roberts started development in 2012. Since then, Cloud Imperium Games has gathered more than $189 million from fans to make the game through a mixture of crowdfunding campaigns and in-game purchases. At the time of this video, however, Star Citizen is still in alpha.
Since game development can take years, we are inviting those who have backed the game to help provide feedback throughout the process.
To be fair, Star Citizen is wildly ambitious. When it's done, it'll blend space combat with on-the-ground action, a galaxy full of explorable planets, an entirely separate single-player campaign, and much, much more. But all that assumes that Star Citizen comes out at all. The game has already been in development for far longer than expected, and there's no end in sight. If Star Citizen ever arrives, it'll be well into the 2020s, if not later.